Hey guys, I am back with a new video. This one is, if I could remember right, this is part 4. This is part 4 for What If Kakashi Adopted Naruto. And yeah, we left off something sad. Yeah, anyways, let's start this. Okay. Chapter 3, Naruto's point of view. The next morning after Naruto get back from Ichiraku's and the girl had their girls' night out, we find Naruto in his sleepwear, still half asleep, watering Ino's gift. Wait. Am I in the right? Oh, fuck. I was in the wrong story. Oh, shit. Alright, hold on. I was in the wrong story. Hold on. Give me a sec. Yeah. Sorry. I'm gonna keep that in. Just because I am agitated. Sorry. Chapter 5. When Kakashi exited the tower, the sun was shining brightly, winking off the water waves in a cheerful manner that seemed to cruelly mock him. All he was their blue eyes filled with the gushing and cushion from his brutal. He walked armlessly, not knowing where he was going, and not caring either. He came out of the darkness to realize he had stopped and widened his eyes. He saw the bar. He desperately wanted to drink till he forgot his little pup, his son. He stood there for a long time, dawn between the stairs, to drink into absorption or to fulfill his oath to Naruto. He took a step forward towards the building, then slammed back in horror. He had made a promise to himself and his son never again try to solve his problems with alcohol. That only made it worse. How was it possible to fall in love with something so fast? He should not have been captured for such feelings. He thought that a part of his soul was destroyed forever. He did not get to spend a lot of time with the little Kyuubi, but every moment burned itself into his memories. The loneliness and depression in his eyes when he found him, which so matched his own feelings, and the torture when he took him back to the orphanage that night. The surprise and pleasure when he came back into the hospital room and didn't abandon him. He also remembered the first time he laughed when Kakashi raced across the rooftops. He had so many plans to make the kid laugh again. Then this morning, when he showed the boy how to use the toilet, the grant of pride when he successfully copied the Nind, and the way he stand out of the bathroom made him proud too. And adding his fighting spirit, it was there, hidden deep, but it was there. The copy then forced him to go outside. The boy fought back with ruthless and tenacity that Kakashi knew was inside him. He had a lot of his mother's side in him. He had been looking forward to discover every friend to his personality. Faint. resemblance to his personality. It did not matter that Naruto was not his flesh and blood. He was his son. His conscious shaking head covered his eye and pressured to control his rage and depression. He couldn't breathe not without Naruto. He suddenly had urge to kill everyone. Why should they be going about their lives when he was so desolate? What does he have to do? What did he do to deserve this? Why did they get to be so happy when his world is so blank and dead? He looked down at his green standard heart and clutched it. He could not break down, not here, not with all these people around. His rage melted away and changed. He stood still and tried to control his raging panic. He just could not break down here. Gone was his tightly controlled mask that everyone saw. All that remained was the raw, naked motion of a broken man. He solved this tightly, finished his hands into his pockets, and turned around to see Guys inches from his face. Yo, Kakashi, my rival, is there some youthful scream from yesterday? He showed it before he got a good look at Kakashi. I have a gift for him. What's wrong? What he saw shocked him. He had never witnessed such pain before. He's gone. They took him away from me, Guy. He stuttered. His eyes held a peeping expression that was not lost to voice Shinobi. Guy understood firmly what he needed to do. I owe you. You're one. I owe you one, my rival, he said in a own tone, and then cold clocked the famous continent of Konoha. He quickly catched the now unconscious Kakashi before he hit the ground, threw him over his shoulders, and ran away faster than he could ever before. Seconds later, he arrived at his friend's apartment building. Going through the window and sat him down on the couch. He went into the kitchen and made him some tea. It wasn't long before Kakashi awoke. Rubbing his jaw ruefully, he sent Guy a grateful look. Thank you. How did you know I was about to lose it? He asked. We've known each other since we were but their youths. Now tell me what happened. He leaned forward to put a cup of tea in the nin's lap hands, then one for himself. His attention never wavered as he looked at the pale nin. His grave manner was so unlike him, for which Kakashi was grateful to see, while Guy apparently waited. He held the warm cup in his hand for a bit, trying to slow his speed thoughts. Finally, he answered. The council refused my adoption request and took my son back to the orphanage. They are using the fact that I attacked a civilian to justify their actions, but I just know there is more to it than that. Did you? Who did you attack? He asked in surprise and shocked. I already told you about her. The mention from the orphanage. When she was about to abuse Naruto, I grabbed her hand and threw her across the room in my anger. When he saw Guy's expression, he defended himself. I wasn't hard though to hurt her. Anyway, I could not allow her to harm an innocent child. You seen him. That evil woman was traumatizing him. What else could I do? What can I do? He looked down at the cup in his hand and said to himself, I can face the world when I see him smile. Guy considered what Kakashi said thoughtfully before answering. I am very happy that you found someone that means so much to you. You know, many men can be a father, but it takes a special person to be a dad. You will get him back, my friend. I know it. You need to prove their medicines extremely if that is the only reason why they are denying your exception. You were justified in what you did. The law clearly allows defending the weak and powerless that in that community and is in that case here. How do I prove it? The council's forbids me from entering the orphanage. Guy, there is no one there who will protect him. I promise. I will keep him safe. If I go there, I may never get him back. But if I don't, he could be hurt. Kakashi stood up quickly in suppressed rage and packed back and forth. His fury changed into depression, and he sat back down on the couch. He covered his face with his hands before he continued. What is wrong with me? Everyone I get close to suffers. I thought Naruto was my redemption, and that my cause was family broken. Guy moved closer to his good friend and gently replied, Yes, I know that you have had a lot of tension and guilt in your life, Kakashi. We all have painless insight and questions that do not have many questions. You need someone to blame, so you choose yourself. You have to stop that, you know. I believe the Further College changed the Manly Academy graduation age because of the people like us. You were 5 and I was 7. We were too young to deal with the reality of a shinobi's life. The death and sufferings were witnessed and caused during the war is nothing young kids our age should have been a part to. We never learned the proper way to deal with those types of trauma. He hated what it did to you, what it did to all of us. It was a war, Guy. We did what we had to do. We need to stop speaking of the past and focus what's on the present. What can we do about my son? Danzo was there with the console. I couldn't help but believe that he is behind all of this. When I was on Abu, we were instructed him, but we were never able to find any proof. The man is very cunning and he holds a lot of more power than people think. We believe that he is running some sort of secret parent organization. What if that is the reason why he wants Naruto? What if he wants to turn him into some sort of weapon? I would not allow that man to get a hold of my boy. Guy gave him a shallow smirk. You will not be allowed to either to the orphanage, but there is nothing forbidding me from doing so. So he stood up, taking Kakashi's hand on the shoulder, and said carefully, You think everyone's close to you suffers, huh? I think you just don't realize how many people care for you. Let's Let me show you. The taijutsu master bit his thumb, made a rabbit hand signs, and summoned a few of his magician's tortoise. Alright, I want you guys to find Goma, Kurenai, Asama, and Hemi. What? Tell them to meet me here as soon as possible. The tortoise disappears with a pop, leaving the two men alone. It did not take long for everyone to arrive. Within a half of an hour, everyone had arrived together with Guy, explaining the whole situation. They made a plan which actually made Kakashi hopeful, as he took up upon his fellow Jonin. He couldn't believe that they were all so ready to help him. He felt so humbled by their show of support. Guy was the first to leave on what they called puppy protection mission. He carried a small special bag from Kakashi to give to the boy. This chapter is longer than usual. Okay, I think. Let me find it. Hold on. I lost track. Hold on. Give me a second. Okay, found it. Okay. At the orphanage, Naruto was still asleep on the bed the Anbu sat him on. The mentioned figures the wood on her cheek and the bandaged arm, then looked down at him in hatred. It made her angry to see him sleeping there on that bed, as if he belonged there. A little monster shouldn't be there among all of these innocent children. What if the demon escapes and kills someone? He should just die already. Danzo needs to hurry up and get the little bastard, she thought. Her hand itched to strangle him, but she was afraid of what Hatake would do. She wasn't so sure that the Hokage could even protect her from the teenage nin. He was just too deadly. She was just about to take the blanket away from the boy, just for a split, when one of the helpers came to tell her that a shinobi was at the door. Holding in frustration, she went to see who was calling. Guy stood waiting just inside the door when the mention came. He ordered her loudly, introduced to her loudly. Good afternoon, my fine women. I am the youthful Might Guy, and I'm here to watch over Naruto Uzumaki. No need to worry about having a bother with him, for I and my fellow youthful shinobi will be taking over the duties till the final decision has been made. He gave his most perfect and nice sky pose with a thumbs up and will not take no for an answer. After arguing for a half an hour, she gave in and lead him to the locked room. Guy looked around and then identified rooms, then sat down on the edge of the bed and waited for the boy to wake up. The little chubby slowly blinked his eyes open and looked around in confusion. The green man was there and he was smiling at him. He nervously edged away from him. He could hear the happy sounds of the children playing in the background, and he knew where he was, in the bad place. He felt so lonely and scared. Tears welled in his eyes, and soon he began to cry. Guy moved closer to him and said gently, "Don't worry, young Naruto. Your dad sent me here to watch over you. I promise nothing bad will happen to you. He carefully sat next to him and showing him a little bag. This is for you. Your dad asked me to give it to you. He put the bag down between and waited for the QB curiously to get the better of him. He stood over and looked into the bag. His tears stopped as his eyes lightened up, and in the trembled hand, he withdrew his teddy bear. He rubbed his face with the soft fur and inhaled deeply. He had it in the bed last night, and it still smelled like his dad. He smiled wide, hugged and kissed it softly on the nose. My dad? He questioned Guy. Guy rubbed his head. He will be here soon as he can. Me and your dad's friends will stay with you, okay? He pointed and turned his body away. But a second later, afraid of the man leaving him there alone, said, "Okay." His dad liked the man, so maybe he was okay? Guy stayed with the boy for 6 hours. Carter and I arrived at the evening to replace him. The young Johnny stayed with Naruto together till he wasn't scared of her. Every 6 hours, another Johnny came to relieve the other, leaving the boy alone and never leaving him to the mercy of the lady in charge or any of the workers. They played with him, fed him, and took care of his needs. Slowly, he learned to trust Shinobi and like them. They protected Kakashi's most precious treasure because they loved him and the boy as well. They all wished they had better answer each time. The Chubi asked for his father. Hayake kneeled and adjusted into him to try to make him feel better, but it didn't fool the boy. Naruto's nose was too sensitive. Kakashi was not having an easy time of it. He had never before put complete faith in others to do something for him. He was set and ready to confront Danzo, but the man put a stop to it mentally. Gamma and Yute held into his arms while Asuma tried to talk some sense into him. You cannot become involved in this, Kakashi. You might forever lose your chance to get him back. Do you really want to risk that? Trust in us and our abilities. We will not fail you. He knew they were right, but it was better pill to shallow. He looked at his son's bed one last time before falling asleep. The nightmare started soon after. It was more intense, more real than more before. The smell of arc smoke and burning flesh filled his nose. The battlefield and hell with the crows of his friends and enemies called to him. He stepped into it with a half-crushed body of Obito's beside him. He turned to Kakashi and spoke. Still dancing with your demons? Blood-pilled and an empty eye shook and slowly depended down into his smile mouth. You are a victim of your own creation, you know. You choose to relive this over and over. His body grinned speed across his face and controlled yet some cool way. Oh, now this looks fun. Changing things up, are we? He said, pointing down. Knowing that he would see, he was looking away, helpless to any less. This time was not Ren standing down and among the enemy Nin, catching in the ambush. This time it was a small body of Naruto. He was scared and crying as the enemy drew closer. Staring next to him was a young Kakashi, wide with a bottle lust. "No!" he shouted to his young self, but it was too late. He watched the powerless and his 10-year-old self attack one of the nin who twists out of the way to the last second. Too late to stop his motion, and he saw the QB through the little boy's chest. The body seemed to fall in a slow motion to the ground, died before it landed. Kakashi watched it all happen, still unable to turn away. "Why did you show me this, Obito? You were never a cruel person." He held a small body in his arms and shook the blonde's hair. His grief was beyond tears, beyond words. He didn't look away from the pierced face as Obito spoke again. His hellish voice echoed, "You should have known the peace of your evil defense, Kakashi. You will be a slave here till the end of time. You belong here." He mockerously laughed. "Your fate is looking clear, is it not, Hatake? You dare to love again? I guess you are not the genius you thought you were." Walking with a jerk, his body turned in sweat and ground and sat up. His heart was pounding painfully in his chest and his head hurt. He went into the shower and stood in the streaming water for a long time, letting the pound on his back. When he finally got out, he saw the clothes that Naruto was wearing when he first found him laying next to the blanket in anger. He picked them up and took them into the living room. He started a fire and burned them in satisfaction. Kakashi released reports suddenly from his friends, but he missed the boy. Every time he went into his bathroom, he saw the small bed, reminded of his pup. Food didn't taste good, and the sun just didn't seem to shine as brightly. He and the others worked tirelessly and solved his problem. The days go by, the nights were even longer. Whoa. The Mansion successfully allowed their entrance and Tyre to spy on them. None of them would allow it. They were highly trained shinobi, and she was just a civilian. They instantly despaired on her. They found she was stealing away throughout the day to meet Danzo. The man was good. They were able to get close enough to get the usual information. Hime broke into her office and was able to find evidence of thieves. She was even stupid enough to keep reports of abuse others had done to Naruto. The council would no longer be able to support the woman and would have to give in to the Shoto. Although it hurt his heart, it was more than they could ever hope for. Found. On October 10th, the whole orphanage felt teased as if holding his breath. The woman relieved the children easy on, but refused to take Naruto with them. The whole village was in mourning of their lost brothers and sisters. From the attack 3 years ago, bars seemed to overflow with people who wanted down their shoulders sorrows and alcohol. Grandma was entering Naruto at the moment, guarding in the moment when the mood all changed from exhaustion to tired. Although there were ambushes staring along to prepare, there were not enough of them. A small said the door left unlocked. Let the darkened rumble. They run through the hallways, destroying everything they meet. The windshield lie on the floor and tables were overturned. They even threw a couch out the window. When they started a fire in one of the classrooms, which quickly spread down to the hallways, turned the child's bedroom. The into such villagers were screaming for the blood of the monster that killed their families, the monster that lived inside a newly 3-year-old boy, Naruto Uzumaki. While the ambush was trying to control the horror, Gama stood up and the boys in his arms and raced out of the building. He wasn't wounded at all. He wasn't even him. He had made a clone such earlier in the day. They had hoped would happen. This would give the council a first proof they need a unduty of the orphanage as the place for Naruto to live. Kurenai and several Anbu who were loyal to the Hokage had been counseling themselves within to get more proof of the woman's treachery. Now they had it. With Danzo who wouldn't take the boy immensely, she told the villagers how to get in and told them exactly where he was. They were not able to get any withers tied on Danzo, unfortunately, but now they were into his memoirs. They will be watching him closely from now on. The real Gama and Naruto were safely across the village, waiting in the shelf-friendly location, playing a little game of tag. When he stopped and stooped his head up, he took a stiff-born out of his mouth and blew a raspberry on his belly. Do you want Uncle Gemma to take you to see your dad, little guy? He joyfully asked the giggling boy when he saw Guy announced from distance. The chubby bounced his arms and clapped his hands. Yep, want my dad. Is he coming? Is he coming now? Gama nodded to the chubby delight. Guy moved closer and asked, where you followed? Did everything go as planned? Did we get all the proof? He stared at the boy like a staring man. His arm twisted several times as if he was preventing himself from grabbing the small boy. I am really happy to say that the hellhole is on its way to become nothing but ash. The Hokage already has another building set as housing for all the orphans, and someone new to take charge. No one has been hurt, well, except for a few villagers who tried to take on your old Ambu squad. They really ain't affected, he said with a smile. Kakashi Hatake. The copy Nin removed his edge grin at Gama beside his mask, and with a soaring heart, he pulled the little boy into his arms. Happy birthday. Did you miss me, son? He asked as he kissed the boy's head and hugged him. Naruto looked in surprise as the masked shinobi was no longer the nice green man. No longer the green man. He had a silver hair, the one who darkened eyes and the smile that could only belong to the one special person. Dad! He squealed in excitement. He grabbed him hard and buried his face in his neck. You stay with me now? Kakashi didn't care who was watching. He wrapped his arm tightly around the boy and let his tears flow. Yep, pup, I'm staying with you. I could never make it through this world without you. And I just wouldn't have a clue how to. We are going to the tower right now and make the Hokage sign those papers right now. He turned around to see Guy, Asuma, Kurane, and Gemma standing there. They all had a huge smiles on their faces. They shouted and cheers for once. The loud noises did not scare Naruto. Asuma smirked and said, "No, what you meant to say that we are all going to the tower and we are going to make my old man sign those papers." The fellow other Jonin nodded their heads in agreement and took off together. Party at Kakashi's place, yelled Hante. A birthday party for the little Chubby, shouted Kurenai. The Hokage was waiting for them. They arrived at his tower window. He let them in and pressed Kakashi with the adoption papers. Sent to work. He said politely to them, "I knew you all would be able to put it off." Kurenai blushed at accomplishment. "I have been trying for so long to find the boy a better place. None of the homes he went to work out. I had no idea that the woman would send him to such places. Each of one was worse than the next. The boy was feared and hated too much." Asuma asked, "Why didn't you let Kakashi have him in the first place? You're the Hokage after all." He was inside at his son. He never did understand. "You know that I answered the council somewhat. If I did not, when I could be this poor, unusually they do everything for the good of the village. Danzo has a lot of influence over the ninja and civilian council members. I was forced to do it. I reject it now that I did not sign the paper without telling them about, but I had no idea they would eject." He was grinning a lot of power over them. "Kakashi, I know you were retired from the Black Ops, but I need your help. I have no rights to ask this, but we are very short on shinobi in the village. We really need to find out what that man is up to and stop him. I would like you to consider becoming a regular jonin. I should not send you on any long-term missions. I also know of the new Genin that will be able to help you with Naruto. He is at your place right now. Don't make any decisions this moment. Take some time off to think about it and spend it with your new son. Go home, all of you." Naruto picked up his hands on each side of Kakashi's face, turned to his face and demanded, "Home now?" "Yep, Dad." "Yeah, home now, man," he agreed softly with feeling. They left the tower and raced across the rooftop towards Kakashi's apartment, which was ablaze with light. Up upon entering, they found a Genin that had destroyed the place of Naruto's birthday on Hokage's orders. Also waiting there was a very angry Tsume. "Kakashi Hatake," she yelled. "You should have asked for my help. I told you that we are friends. If one of my brats were in trouble, you would have helped them, right?" Yes, of course." He stared in embarrassment. He felt like a young school kid being lectured from his front of class. The feeling was only made worse when Asuma smirked and Kurenai whispered to his ears, "No doubt about it, that woman is downright scary," he thought. "Don't ever forget it again, boy," she shouted when she yelled to everyone. "Oi, let's get this party started already. Hana, Kiba, get in here." The kids came in from the bathroom where Kiba, who has been napping, and Hana was reading. As soon as he and Naruto spotted each other, they jumped in excitement. "Happy birthday, Naruto. Guess what? I got you a ninja action figure with a ninja hound. We can play together." As the Kapitan watched his son and fellow shinobi display insane amounts of sugar in the party from the birthday cake, he could not help but to think, "My world is finally complete." And I think that's where I'm gonna end it. And I see you guys in the next video. And drop a like and subscribe. And I see you guys later.